What's going on, guys? My name is Unknown680, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at how we can optimize our increased speed to save as many inputs as possible as we seek out to become the master of minimum dynamics.
I feel paralyzed.
Surprisingly, the beginning normal speed icon section is one of the more precise ones, which will need explanation. So we begin by input carrying, which allows jumping up to this jump orb without the need to use one input. Then you'll need to hold off this orb at a very specific point on the left side. This will align you perfectly to jump off the bottom left corner of the jump orb. Use the preemptive input technique for this timing, but be sure to release before this pillar, as you jump off it and not the pad. The next input begins at an orb anyway, so it's not as if we could have optimized this any further. Next, you'll hold off this orb and continue holding as you bounce off this pillar. Here's an interesting observation to note. The jump pad is actually not placed in the center of this pillar. It's as if this pad was made with saving inputs in mind. Anyways, continue holding on as you reach the 2x speed change. You can keep holding as you jump into the left side of this pillar containing a jump pad. These jump pads have some interesting properties if they are placed on a pillar, as you can bounce off them provided that you're holding down. This works out in our favor since we can save inputs. At 13%, ensure that you wait briefly before beginning to hold at this point. By jumping off this pillar late, you can use that pillar trick once more here as well. For these next few orbs, position yourself in such a way that you can hold off this pink jump orb on the top, preferably top right side. Hold off this blue orb as late as possible to gain the distance you'll need to jump off these blocks. You should be heading into the blue pad section with 16 inputs in this way. Tap the pink orb and hold at the yellow orb so that you ascend as the ship. Don't worry, you'll have enough space to fly over this spinning blade easy. Keep following the coin paths as normal from here. As we approach a ball portal at 49%, it's now time to introduce ourselves to a brand new input saving technique. Essentially, by input carrying from any other game mode into a ball portal, you can actually change gravity immediately upon landing on the ground without using an additional input. In this example, we're required to begin holding off this yellow jump orb late. We'll jump into a ball portal in this way and immediately change gravity upon landing, allowing us to land on the ceiling safely. Notice how the input counter doesn't increase when we change gravity, as one would generally think. Once again, much like preemptive inputs, this technique ensures that your game mode interacts with an object or tile at the earliest possible point it connects. At 56%, head for the secret coin path. What's really interesting about this area is that these spikes are actually fake and are instead slightly elevated platforms. After verifying that this is true in the main level, we can use this to our advantage by beginning an input just as we elevate at this point. Ensure that you're holding down as you transform into the ship and increase speed once more. Here is where you'll really need to time your inputs well. There's nothing specific to mention here, just follow the paths precisely and optimize your distance with each input. Do the ball section as normal, ensuring that you space out your inputs at these orbs for maximum distance. Repeat for the next ship section, where you'll have to swoop up and down repeatedly. Do the next ball section normally as well. Head for the third coin path as the icon and ensure that you hold off this blue orb on the right side and decently late. This will allow you to clear the first quadruple spike. You'll have to tap for each next quad spike though, as well as the 3 orbs, since there's no way to save inputs any further. You can't hold off the third orb since you'd crash into the spikes above as the ship, so you'll need to begin another input just after you exit the ship portal. When you swoop up and begin your ascent, and then down again as you begin your descent, you'll, unfortunately, be greeted by these spikes. There's no way to reach solid ground without the use of another input, I'm afraid. It's required to just give you that little extra distance that you need. There's also no way we can use this input to fly up, since you'll crash into the spiked ceiling above. When you land on solid ground, you'll need to begin flying up quickly and release at a very precise time. By doing so, you can dodge the ceiling spikes and just barely clear these floor spikes. When you land one last time, use the final input to make it out of the last corridor unscathed with a dynamic 90 inputs in total. Our global input counter now lies at 1047 inputs. I still cannot believe that only now, at level 15 out of 21, have we exceeded 10k inputs. We have only 6 more levels to go. In summary, there's no doubt that many first-time players struggled with this level, and for good reason. Interacting with speed changes for the first time drastically changes the physics of each game mode, and further limits the player's control since the game modes don't react fast enough to our inputs. Combining that with the even greater restrictions on control that this challenge presents easily gives birth to another endurance-favoring level. I would definitely say that the final ship is by far the most difficult part of the level. Even in regular play, so much distance is required to change your ship's elevation at that speed. Mixing that with the inability to control your ship will result in a severe case of what I'd like to call Dasher's demise. Basically a fancy way of saying a lot of attempts required. I hope you all enjoyed watching the insanity we've just endured. Let's hope that Hexagon Force won't present itself as much of the same. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Stay safe, and peace out.